जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम राबिया।
वालेकुम सलाम सर।
कैसी हैं? ठीक हैं? खैरियत से हैं?
जी सर अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, आप कैसे हैं?
I'm good. I'm good. Okay. अच्छा, मैं just as a side note before the others come, वैसे तो मैंने क्लास का टाइम नहीं छेड़ना, लेकिन मैं सिर्फ एहतियातन पूछ रहा हूँ कि अगर मैं इसको कोई आधा घंटा पीछे लेके जाऊँ तो कोई बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं होगा? It will stay the same. I'm just asking. यानी कि instead of
सर 15 मिनट्स आप पीछे ले जाएं बिकॉज 7:05 तक मेरी एक और क्लास होती है।
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से नहीं, मैं छेड़ूंगा नहीं, because I know क्योंकि आप अकेली नहीं हैं, because you have so many children. So again, मैं बस ये देखना चाह रहा था कि just in case, और otherwise मुझे भी कोई मसला नहीं है। So inshallah that's fine, that's fine. चलें जी, हम शुरू करते हैं. The others will join in. Okay, so today we are starting with our new topic, that is coordination. So quickly, let me give you an overview of what this topic is going to be all about. हम सितंबर का काफ़ी चंक जो है वो इस टॉपिक में गुजारने वाले हैं, because this is the lengthiest topic in A2. Homeostasis is number 2 when it comes to the length, but no topic beats this topic with regards to its length. And you will be surprised इसकी frequency of being assessed in the past papers again is maximum. The reason being is since this is the biggest topic, so you have a lot of questions. I mean, you will be surprised. इसमें से जो examiner का top favorite topic है, that is the structure of muscles. In the past 4 or 3 years, this topic of muscles has been assessed. मैं आपको गिन के बता रहा हूँ 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 दफ़ा in the past 4 years. This the question on the topic of muscles has been asked. Okay, so again, you have an idea how important this topic is. Okay, so inshallah मैं आपको पहले बता रहा हूँ कि हम इसमें at the very least we're going to spend 3 weeks doing this topic, looking at the length of this topic. Okay, so now you can clearly see that this topic is divided according to your syllabus into just 2 parts. You have coordination in mammals and then you have coordination in plants. ठीक है, लेकिन मैं आपको सब topics बताता हूँ इसकी क्या है. Generally speaking, we will begin with the idea of comparing the nervous system and the endocrine system. You need to understand the picture here. देखिए, अगर आपको याद हो, when I started talking about homeostasis and the negative feedback, I generally talked about the idea of your body having different receptors, ठीक है जी, and the receptors detecting and then bringing about a coordinated response. Okay, I'm going to write that word, coordinated response. Okay, this coordinated response is basically either through hormones. Okay, it's either through hormones, या फिर it is through what is known as the nervous system. Hormonal system को हम endocrine system भी कहते हैं, याद रखें. This endocrine system basically has to do with hormones, and endocrinology is a separate field that deals with all of this stuff. So in the previous topic we have हमने बहुत डिटेल में इसको देखा, especially in the context of antidiuretic hormone. Okay, so before I begin today, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to give you an introduction about the topic itself, coordination. I mean, control and coordination. What do I mean when I say coordination? And then we are going to have a general comparison of both the nervous and the endocrine system. ठीक है? लेकिन उससे पहले मैं जरा syllabus को go through करके आपको एक topics का overview देना चाह रहा हूँ. So the first topic you can clearly see is about this comparison, and then you will see that this particular the second part deals with neurons basically. ठीक है, neurons को हम थोड़ा detail में देखेंगे. O levels में आपने इतना detail में नहीं देखा था, लेकिन यहाँ पे we will be going into structural details of sensory, of relay, of motor neurons, and all of that stuff. Okay, then another. So again, if you like, if I were to give these topics as subtopics, so that's the first topic that we're going to do: compare nervous and endocrine system. The second is we are going to look into details of how you know, all of this thing functions. And then 3, we are basically going to look into what is formally what you saw back in O levels also, the reflex action and the reflex arc. ठीक है, उसके बाद the fourth main topic is action potential. You haven't done this before. This will be something new. Okay, how actually does, you know that the function of the neurons is to transmit or carry nerve impulses. Lekin, how does that happen? We're going to look at that in detail. Ye jo action potential hai, resting membrane potential, all of this has to do with topic number 4. And has to do with this particular fourth subtopic. And the concepts overwhelmingly rely on the concepts of membranes. The AS में आपने membranes का topic पढ़ा. It's okay if you believe that you don't have a strong grip on the topic of membranes. Inshallah, उसको हम साथ-साथ थोड़ा loop करेंगे. And then you have a separate, the fifth topic is a separate topic of a synapse. Back in O levels, you just saw that the synapse is just a gap, okay? It's just a gap, उसमें chemical transfer होता है and khalas, end of story. But now, of course, we are going into details and we are going to see how does that happen. And then we are going to, the sixth topic that we are going to look at is how does the muscle contract? Striation of the skeletal muscle. उसके लिए definitely इसका पूरा structure हम देखेंगे, फिर इसका हम function देखेंगे and all of that stuff. So I have इसके लिए I'm really super excited. इसके लिए I usually do a really lovely I do some activity. बच्चों को लगता है कि हम play group में चले गए, लेकिन trust me, it really works. And I am so sad क्योंकि मैंने इस दफ़ा अपनी A2 को जो मेरी A2 थी स्कूल में इस दफ़ा, उनमें से, you know, girls they're quite fond of doing all of this. लड़के शक्ल बनाते हैं वैसे, यानी कि I actually bring in stuff with which we actually make a model of striated muscles. आप हैरान होंगे कि मई जून 2020 के पेपर 4 के सेक्शन बी में इस दफ़ा 8 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन था on this very topic, and I was sad that I did this with such excitement with my class, and I was dead sure that this is going to come because this is the examiner's super favorite, and it came. But in any way, उन बच्चों का A वैसे भी आ गया. चलिए बहरहाल. So again, that's the sixth topic that we're going to look at. The seventh topic that we're going to look at in coordination in mammals is going to be the menstrual cycle. But menstrual cycle with in the context of hormones only. हम बहुत detail में नहीं जाएंगे. Of course, we are going to go into details of how does the cycle work. But again, that is just to set the context for us to understand the enzymes. अगर आपने, the hormones. It's exactly the same detail as we did in O levels. So again, this is nothing new for you. Yes. So basically, these 7 subtopics to summarize. comparison between nervous and endocrine system. Number 2, structure and function in detail of neurons. Reflex arc. Topic number 4, action potential. Jiska matlab hai ki what is nerve impulse? I mean, how does it travel and all that stuff. Then the synapse is the 5th, muscle contraction is the 6th, and menstrual cycle is the 7th. Okay, so these are the 7 subtopics that we are going to go into detail of as far as the coordination in mammals is concerned. Uske baad, excuse me, you have 15.2, which is coordination in plants. Venus flytrap देखा किसी ने? जो एक पत्ता नहीं होता, वो it's a carnivorous plant, उसको हाथ लगाए तो, I mean हाथ नहीं लगाए, उस पर कोई मक्खी बेचारी आके बैठे तो it literally, you know, encloses itself, and it's really interesting. I will show you videos also for this. So this is the 8th subtopic that we will look at. How does Venus flytrap work? And then at the end, topic number 9, we have some hormones like auxin, gibberellin, जो कि basically plants की growth में काम आते हैं. अब आप देख रहे हैं कि coordination in mammals में as such hormones की बात सिर्फ menstrual cycle में है. Plants, they don't have an extensive nervous system. So they primarily rely on hormonal endocrine system. So that is basically what we are going to look at. So these are 9 major subtopics, of course, with every subtopic having further subdivisions. But this is basically what, inshallah, we will be spending almost the next 3 weeks. आप समझे हमारा September जो है almost सारा coordination में लुकेगा. For those of you who joined late, this is the lengthiest topic of A2 paper 4, and बहुत ज़्यादा percentage है paper 4 की जो कि इन questions की आती है. Okay, so inshallah, I am really looking forward that we do this topic thoroughly in detail without leaving any bits of information that is required as far as your is concerned. मैं आपको बहुत strongly encourage करूँगा. मैं आपको हर टॉपिक के साथ जो है इसका आप समझें कि इसके जितने भी 5 पेपर्स हैं हम सारे एग्जॉस्ट करेंगे साथ इंशाल्लाह. सो मेक श्योर दैट आपकी जो नोट टेकिंग है वो बहुत अच्छी हो इंशाल्लाह. पिछले टॉपिक्स में आई हैव बीन लेजी इन सेंडिंग नोट्स, बट फॉर दिस I will make sure that I don't get lazy and I'm prompt, and after every week I make sure that I send this over the weekend so that you can do the revisions and stuff. ठीक है जी. I hope that gives you a clear picture. So now let's jump on to the basic idea that I'm going to begin with, and that is यहाँ पे मैंने वैसे nervous versus hormonal लिख दिया, लेकिन let's first talk about nervous system. Okay, let's first talk about nervous system. Now, before I jump on to explain what exactly nervous system is, I will take you back to a very basic concept, and that is the concept of levels of organization. Levels of organization. Now, anybody remembers what do I mean when I say levels of organization? Ji Zainab? I mean, let me give you a hint. We begin with cells, and then what do we have?
So, tissues?
ठीक है, शाबाश. Cells से हम शुरू होते हैं. So many of the cells that join together to make tissues, and then tissues they join together to form organs, and then organs they work together in coordination to form an organ system, and then finally you have the organism. ठीक है, finally you have the organism. ये मैं आपको क्यों बता रहा हूँ? Why am I telling you this? The reason is because in nervous system, we are dealing with this level of organization. We are dealing with organ system, which means if you go backwards, which means there will be many organs coordinating with one another. So, basically I'm trying to address the following question. Why is there a need for the nervous system in the first place? देखिए, किसी भी community की तरह, you need to understand, it's very basic. Let me give you a very simple example. Any community, we live in a community, we live in communities, right? We as humans, I'm sorry Zainab, I just read your message. I hope आपका Zoom का मसला हल हो गया. Okay.
जी sir.
Okay. अच्छा जी. Okay. So basically, why do we need a nervous system? Because देखिए मैं आपको example देता हूँ. We as humans, we live in a society, and it is impossible for us to imagine to live without coordinating with one another. We as humans coordinate with one another, and there are different means with which we coordinate. Similarly, human body needs coordination. आपका brain है, आपका heart है, your lungs, your digestive system, they're not working in isolation. One way or the other, they're connected. So there needs to be a system which is actually there for coordination. So basically, if I ask you, what is the function of digestive system? अगर मैं आपसे बहुत crudely पूछूं, बहुत simple question पूछूं कि digestive system का function क्या है? Just a layman question. How would you think of a layman answer? Digestive system का क्या? What is the function of digestive system? I think the answer should be pretty simple. क्या ख्याल है? Hamas, what do you think should be the answer for this? What is the function of a digestive system?
Break down food and
Exactly, digesting food basically. ठीक है, breaking down food, digesting food. इसी तरह, Rabia, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं, what do you think is the function of circulatory system? Just give me a layman answer. What do you think is the function of a circulatory system? What would your answer be?
To circulate the blood.
Exactly. I mean, as simple as that. देखिए, every system has its own distinctive function, but the nervous system, it stands out from the other systems in such a way that the nervous system is actually bringing all of the other systems to coordinate with one another. ठीक है? आप समझेंगे आपकी OA level coordinator है, बेचारी OA level coordinators usually बहुत बदनाम होती हैं schools में, लेकिन they are really good people जहाँ पे भी होते हैं बेचारे बहुत बफर. I don't know आप लोगों का इतना पाला पड़ता है coordinator से कि नहीं, लेकिन हमारा पाला पड़ता है coordinator से. Whatever the case is, that's basically the general need of the nervous system. Now, and of course, when we are talking about nervous system, we will understand that there are different organs that will be involved. Naturally, we're going to talk about different tissues, and of course, we're going to talk about different cells. So, इसीलिए हम neurons की भी बात करेंगे, हम nerve tissues की भी बात करेंगे. We're going to talk about brain. Well, actually, we don't talk about brain. Unfortunately, brain का topic A levels के syllabus में नहीं है. So no more brain surgery videos. A levels में इस topic में बच्चे बहुत excited होते हैं. I show them videos. You know, brain surgery, if I'm not wrong, is only one of the surgeries in which the patient is woken up in the middle of the surgery. अगर आपको यकीन नहीं आ रहा तो मैं आपको link भेजूंगा कभी ग्रुप में आप देखिएगा. And that's crazy. And there's a reason for that. Well, anyhow, the brain is not in our syllabus, so big deal. And of course, organ system is the nervous system. Now, to answer the question, what exactly is the nervous system? Okay, nervous system is basically divided into two parts, okay? And by the way, you are expected to know this. Please make sure that you're taking notes vigilantly. So the nervous system is divided into two parts. You have the CNS, which is known as the central nervous system. And the other, so that's the first major category. The second major category is the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. Okay. So these are the two major categories of the nervous system. And then further, the central nervous system is composed of the brain and the spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord. जो आपका brain है और जो आपका spinal cord है, basically that is the nervous system. So maybe it's this, you can see this as 1A and this is as 1B. Okay, and the peripheral nervous system is basically composed of your nerve cells. That's a non-scientific word for you. लेकिन मैंने आपको समझाने के लिए बोल दिया. There are two terms that are usually confused. You have nerves versus nerve cells. Anybody knows the difference between them? You should be knowing this back from O levels, but it's okay if you don't. Anybody would like to tell me? Nerves में और nerve cells में क्या फर्क है? If you know and you remember this. If you don't, I'm going to put a bracket here and I'm going to put a question mark. Inshallah, we are going to come back to this today once I proceed forward with my topics. Yes, anybody wants to say something? Yes,
nerves connected tissues, उसके nerve की जो chain होती है, nerve cells की.
Not really. अच्छा चलें, कोई बात नहीं. It's okay. I'm going to leave this for later time to come for today.
So don't leave, sir. बता देना.
Don't leave. बता दो. अच्छा चलें. देखिए जो nerve cells हैं, it's very simple. If that's one nerve cell, ठीक है, then many of them, when they form a bundle, that bundle is basically known as one nerve, single nerve. Okay. यहाँ आगे PowerPoint पे मेरी एक slide आ रही है, इसमें inshallah I will clearly clarify this. So that's basically the difference. Okay. A collection of almost 60 or 70 nerve cells, if I'm not wrong, is a nerve, but you don't need to remember this number. But clearly you can see that there's a difference. So the scientific name for nerve cells, again, nerve cell is a specialized cell. Does anybody know the scientific name for nerve cells? Starts with an N, ends with an N.
Neurons.
Neurons, shabash. So neurons is basically the word that I want you to use. Don't use the word nerve cell. Mark scheme में acceptable होता है, लेकिन हमने acceptable वाली चीज पे नहीं जाना. We have to go for the short thing, okay? And then we are going to talk in detail about 3 neurons. Again, you are familiar with these neurons. Sensory neuron, okay? You have the relay neuron. Relay को intermediate भी कहते हैं. It's one and the same thing. Intermediate neuron. And then number 3, you have the motor neuron. Okay. So we are going to go into details of, excuse me, neurons, spinal cord. Unfortunately, we're not going to touch brain because हमारे syllabus में नहीं है, इसलिए, I mean, just relax, okay? So you don't need to get concerned with what exactly do we need to know. O levels में eye का structure detail में था, brain का structure detail में था, लेकिन यहाँ पे वो चीजें नहीं हैं. But what we have is honestly quite enough for us to spend quite a lot of time doing this stuff only. Okay, so that is, I mean, to summarize, you have the nervous system, which is composed of central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is further divided into brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system is composed of neurons, which basically, hamare level tak we only look at 3 of them. They're sensory, relay, and motor. Let me quickly give you a picture that will give you an idea of what central nervous system and peripheral nervous system are supposed to be. So, oh, picture on you. So sorry, wait. This picture, pictures, file. So, yeah, I think this picture should do. ये देखें जी. A very simple picture, quite self-explanatory. इसको मैं नीचे लेके आता हूँ. So that when I give you notes, it's easy. Okay, so again, you can clearly see in this diagram, they have labeled the central nervous system as the brain and spinal cord. और जो बाकी चीज उन्होंने label नहीं की हुई, लेकिन you can see clearly, so you can see brain and spinal cord. All of these red thingies, all of these are basically the neurons. They're stemming from the spinal cord and they're literally moving, going throughout the body. So basically that is the part of the peripheral nervous system. ठीक है जी? चलिए जी. So now let's proceed basically to the comparison of the 2 systems, comparison of hormonal, which is of course known as endocrine, versus nervous system. अच्छा, अब इसको याद रखना एक बहुत it's a hectic thing for usually for students, especially you have majority, मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ इसके बाद, आप you have a lot of section B questions from paper 4 that have you know, that are there for this particular topic. So I'm going to draw a sort of a scatter brain diagram, okay, that is basically going to tell you that from what perspective are basically we going to talk about. ठीक है? तो सबसे पहले हम बात करते हैं, let's talk about hormonal system. Okay, let's first talk about hormonal system. ठीक है जी? Now, what I'm going to do is, the first thing is a communication. Okay, you need to understand that in terms of communication, let me write down all of these points, and then inshallah we're going to fill this for ourselves. So we're going to talk about communication. Then we are going to talk about nature of communication. Excuse me, nature of communication. Then we are going to talk about mode of transmission. Mode of transmission. Then we are going to talk about response destination. Response destination. Then we are going to talk about, if I'm not wrong, number 5, transmission speed. Transmission speed. Then number 6, we are going to talk about effects. Number 7, we are going to talk about response speed. Response speed. And then number 8, if I'm not wrong, we are going to talk about duration. Because that's number 8. And number 9, we are going to talk about receptor location. Receptor location. So, ये perspectives हैं which you need to know about all, both the hormonal and the nervous system. I know some of these points are not making sense. Don't worry, just have patience. We're going to look at them right away. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to
So
select.
what is number 4?
Bache, number 4 is response destination. Hormonal को लिखते हैं red से. Or let's choose a different color for, let's say, what's the color select? Purple करते हैं जी. Nervous के. Okay. Okay. Chalo ji. So let's first talk about the nervous system, because that's what we're looking at. Okay. अच्छा जी. अब nervous system में जो communication है वो किस form में होती है? Now I am going to use different colors. I have labeled nervous system as purple, okay, and I have labeled hormonal as red. So I'm going to fill in all of these things with the purple. So let's do it for the nervous system first, and then I'm gonna again fill in this diagram. आपने अगर अपने पास ही आप notes बना रहे हैं इस diagram को, तो make sure कि you have sufficient space, because I'm going to squeeze in everything in this diagram. Why am I doing this in a diagrammatic format? Trust me, it will be easier for you to remember once you go back to your notes. Otherwise, मैं point form में भी आपको लिखवा सकता था, but that's honestly not a good idea for us to remember, okay? So the first thing that we need to remember with regards to communication is that as far as the nervous communication is concerned, it is in the form of action potential. Action potential का word आपके लिए नया है. अगर simply मैं इसको slash कर दूं with just a nerve impulse, then that does make sense, okay? So communication is in the form of nerve impulse, okay? All right. And then coming to point number 2, the nature of communication is both electrical and chemical. Both electrical and chemical. अच्छा, यहाँ पे एक बहुत important point आप लोगों ने समझना है, and that is coming from the examiner reports. काफी दफा examiner reports में उसने इस point को reiterate किया है. देखें, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं what is the mode of communication in nervous system, then the word is nerve impulse. I don't say that neurons, they carry electrical signals. You need to understand that is wrong to say. I don't say that there are electrical signals that the neurons they carry. That is incorrect. The correct word is, come on, say it after me. It is the nerve impulse. ये बहुत important बात है. But for me to tell the nature of that communication, for that I am using the word electrical. आपको बात एक ही लग रही होगी कि एक ही बात है. एक बात नहीं है. Nature of communication, electrical and chemical है. But the word for that thing is the nerve impulse. You don't use the word quote unquote electrical signals. That is incorrect. And inshallah, once we do action potential, you will understand why it is wrong to say. Because current ka literally matlab hota hai flow of electrons. We don't have electrons flowing in the neurons. It's actually the flip of charge जो कि travel करता है. बहरहाल उसकी detail हम बाद में देखेंगे. So the nature of communication is both electrical and chemical. Can anybody tell me ये chemical कहाँ से आया? Any guesses? Where on earth do we have chemical? I mean, तारें लगी हुई हैं सारी बिजली की, for example. तो उसमें current ही होगा ना? I mean, I'm not talking about nervous system. देखिए, you need to understand, in synapses are gaps between neurons. And if you remember back from O levels, synapse के अंदर जो transmission होती है वो it is in the chemical form. And this is, by the way, something in detail that we're going to look at, inshallah, in this topic. Okay, so the chemical is basically, the chemical part is within the synapse. Okay, I'm going to write that in a bracket. बल्कि इसको नीचे bracket में लिखते हैं ताकि बहुत ज़्यादा बाहर ना निकले. Synapse. Let me write it here. It's okay. ठीक है जी. अच्छा जी, ये तो हो गया जी nature of communication. Mode of transmission क्या है? Mode of transmission, यहाँ पे in case of nervous system you have neurons, as simple as that. You have neurons, या फिर आप इसको nerve cell भी कह सकते हैं. मार्क्स की में उसने slash किया होता है nerve cell, but I'm sticking to the word neuron. Transmission, उसके बाद number 4, response destination. Usually for nervous system it is either a muscle or a gland. इन दोनों के अलावा और कोई चीज नहीं होती. It's either a muscle or a gland. Okay. What about transmission speed? क्या ख्याल है? किसकी speed ज़्यादा होगी? Hormonal की कि nervous की?
Nervous की sir.
Exactly. So nervous is faster. Okay. Nervous is faster. Okay. The effects of nervous system are specific and localized. Specific and localized. क्या मतलब? मैं आपको इसकी example देता हूँ. For example, you're touching a hot object. तो जिस उंगली का जो portion आपने गर्म चीज पे लगाया है, वहीं पे आपको pain होगी, वहीं पे आपको sensation होगी. It is not, far-fetched. As compared to hormones, for example, puberty के hormones हैं. Males के case में their basically effects are, we use the word they're widespread, like their shoulder blade will get wider, their voice will deepen, the pubic hair. So I mean, you can see that it is widespread. Okay, and then number 7, with regards to the response speed, usually it is faster. No, not usually, it's always faster. और इसका जो duration है वो short lived होता है, याद रखें. It is short lived. आपने किसी गर्म चीज को हाथ लगा लिया, अब अगले 6 घंटे आपको वो गर्मी महसूस नहीं होती रहेगी. It's just a matter of seconds. Okay. और short lived कह दें या temporary कह लें, एक ही बात है. And then you have the receptor location, which is basically on the cell surface membrane. On cell surface membrane. Again, inshallah, when we look at examples, that should make it clear. Now, let's choose the different ink, and now let's talk about the same points for the hormonal system. Hormonal system में communication किस चीज के through होती है? It is through hormones. Okay, it is through hormones. What is the nature of this communication? Is hormone? What is a hormone? It's a chemical. So we say that chemical only. Okay, it's chemical only. And then you have the mode of transmission. The mode of transmission, यहाँ पे क्या ख्याल है? Hormones का मोड ऑफ ट्रांसमिशन क्या है? नर्व इंपल्सेस न्यूरॉन्स में ट्रैवल करती हैं, हार्मोन्स के तो ट्रैवल करते हैं. Where do they travel? What do you think? They travel in the blood. Okay, they travel in the blood, and then you have the response destination. The response destination in case of hormonal system is target organs. और ये target organ कोई भी हो सकता है. It depends on different hormones. Let me quickly ask you a question. Rabia, ADH का target organ क्या है?
Kidney.
शाबाश. Example AD और अगर specific हो जाए तो kidney में भी it's basically the collecting duct. Okay, the cells of the collecting duct. Okay, great. And then if you talk about transmission speed, the transmission speed is of course slower. ठीक है जी. और इसी तरह अगर आप effects की बात करें तो जो effects हैं they are widespread. As I said, ठीक है, as is, and the response speed. अच्छा, response speed को transmission speed के साथ confuse नहीं करना. Response speed is again slower. Okay. Transmission speed जब वो transmit हो रहा है और response is as a result of once it has reached its destination. And then the duration, what do you think is the duration? Do you think it's short and temporary? Can be.
short भी है और sir long भी है.
No, it's actually long lasting. And in some cases
Sir,
it is. नहीं, ठीक आप कह रहे हैं. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा it's only short. Usually it's long lasting. Okay. All right. And then you have the receptor location. In case of hormones, the receptor location is either on the cell surface membrane, ठीक है जी, or within the cell भी होता है, within the cell, ठीक है जी. तो ये basically comparison है nervous और hormonal का. Okay, it's been almost 38 minutes since we're in the lesson. Let's take our traditional 1 minute break. थोड़ा सा relax करें, टांगे stretch करें, पानी पी के आए, फिर इंशाल्लाह let's move forward. Okay, I'm going to end the session, come back and rejoin, and then let's resume.